Follow the buzzer. Rest in peace. Woo! The best there is, the best there was, and the best ever will be. What you gonna do, brother? Hey, yo.
Can you see me now?
Strategy my Oklahoma ass.
Life sucks, and then you die.
Welcome to the JM Report. I'm your host, GoodOlJM, coming to you from Tampa, Florida, the birthplace of pro wrestling. And yes, I missed a week, and I apologize for that. Wasn't so much work-related, but transportation-wise, as I needed to get the, well, it's a name work in progress, but the JM Mobile, just saying it out loud sounds worse in my head. But no, I needed a tune-up. Well, not so much that I needed one, but I wanted one, and a quick inspection, and for them to look at my air conditioning system. As it turns out, it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of labor hours, which I wasn't expecting. So I asked everything but the AC you can do, and I'll get back to you about the air conditioning, because apparently they need to remove the entire dashboard to get into the circulation of the, what do you say, the hoses or the tubes of the AC itself, and there might be something blocking or something could be broken. And they can't get underneath it, and they can't get over it under the hood. So they gotta rip that sucker open. So I was like, hold on. I'll get back to you on that. Not that I'm not gonna have it done, just not right now. And at least for the past few days, we've had enough thunderstorms out here that it cooled us down pretty much after work and into the evening hours. So it's been quite cool around here. So no rush for the AC getting fixed where rolling down a few windows can't suffice. So again, if you missed out on the JM Report last week, no worries. I'll just catch up with a few stories since then and some that came out this week. And I'll see if anything broke out since last night. Had to attend a energy drink / wine testing. What wasn't it? Well, yeah, it was a contest, but also just a tasting in general for Neutral. If anyone's ever tried that, they're pretty good. They've come out with a new seltzer vodka mix of a few flavors, mango being one of them, pineapple, watermelon, and the one I tried was peach. They were pretty good, very nice and sweet. So that took up about half of my day, and here I am today. So let's just get caught up here as Vince McMahon. Well, what can I say that hasn't been said already? But I guess we can't talk about what the original reporters that came from the Wall Street Journal, one Joe, I'm pretty sure I'm going to butcher his last name, and I apologize, but Joe Palazzolo, so many Z's, and Ted Mann. Wow, that was easy. They believe that there might be more to come as they continue to report, and the ongoing investigation from the board of directors from WWE. As for those who don't know, Vince is on investigation from his own board for alleged payout hush money to former WWE employees for sexual misconduct that goes against their rules and regulation. And I don't want to beat down a dead horse. Yes, at least in one alleged incident, McMahon paid out of pocket. And not to mention the $100,000 raise per year to the same former employee. That's out of company pocket. And the others, well, they all added up to about $12 million. And I'm not going to be one of those guys that try to pinpoint exactly the of when this took place, because one of the former employees, or can we I don't think technically slash legally you can call them a former employee, because it's a former wrestler, female wrestler, and they are labeled as independent contractors. And point being is, I'm not gonna try to figure out who it was. I'm not even gonna try to speculate. So by me not mentioning the year that this allegedly happened, it will narrow it down. But no, I mean, just look post, I would say 2002, for the amount of screen time that the character Mr. McMahon had and interacted with how many different female talents, whether they were wrestlers, managers, slash valets, slash divas, whatever they were at the time. You can come and draw your own conclusions on that. I'd rather not. And with me lately been able to interact with some former on-air personnel, talent, former employees, what have you, or others that know who they are, or associated, affiliated, related. I don't want to be that guy and have an awkward conversation and come across one of those relatives or friends and say, hey, was it your relative? Was it your friend that's being questioned and blah, blah, blah? I don't want to be that guy. In other words, I don't want to be that jerk. And others have posted videos and podcasting that they believe, or it sounds like it's so-and-so. Well, okay, more power to you. You should be working for Sherlock Holmes. But come on, that's beyond just an invasion of, well, it's not even called an invasion of privacy, but just to flat out throw out random names. And for all you know, you can be incorrect. And now you're the Poshmo that's got to explain themselves. Why did you report that without any proof? You just speculated because of the time and place that all these alleged actions took place. So I'm not that guy. But Vince at least settled with the former commissioner of the XFL over a wrongful termination suit. So they settled out of court, and apparently a few days later, the case itself was dismissed. Good news, I guess. I don't know what that clarifies. I'm not a judge. I'm not an attorney. But I would have imagined that once the settlement occurred, it will go back to whichever judge was going to oversee that. And I said, okay, well, case closed automatically. Why have it dismissed? So you can't. So you mean to tell me if the former commissioner, what's his name, Oliver, if he goes back and says, oh, the payout that I had of, what was it, something like over $100 million of a settlement. So if he goes out and spends all that money and needs to go back to the judge, oh, by the way, I spent all the money on legal fees and mortgage and whatever else would constitute spending that much money in a short amount of time. Oliver Luck, by the way, is his name. Why dismiss it? It was already settled. Case closed, sure, but this, and I believe there is a difference between having dismissed and having a case closed. Case closed means it went through the trial and a decision was rendered. But dismissal, that means like, no, we're not even going to hear you out. That's where I'm scratching my head. So if anyone would like to clarify and explain it to me, please feel free to comment below. And while you're there, subscribe and like. There's a few, well, I have a few mixed stories here, so I'll be jumping back and forth between organizations. So next story is the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Luke Anderson. Wow, what did I just say? No, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. Who that was Luke? Their contracts are expiring, if they haven't already by this reporting, with Impact Wrestling, and have not signed a new deal yet. And they're still the World Tag Team Champions for Impact Wrestling. But they do have plans on the table, they being Impact, for the rest of the summer. And after that, it's up in the air whether or not they would resign with Impact. I don't see why they wouldn't. I know they wouldn't mind going back to Japan and travel from there, maybe to Mexico and Canada and then Australia. The world is their oyster, pretty much. If you haven't worked or not worked for WWE, you can go wherever you want. And this is just my opinion, and I know a lot of people either disapprove or just flat out do not like the way it was handled. But whenever it comes to interpromotional events, and most recently, the best example is AEW. That's the best example. Not that I could be on the same boat as you guys, as not the best executed or presentation, but that's just my opinion. But when you have a show like AEW, Dynamite, Rampage, whichever, or one of their few pay-per-views a year, and you have Impact talent and you have New Japan talent, yes, there's a huge chance that the audience, not all the audience, is gonna know who a individual is from a different organization, different company. Then they're not gonna know what tag team this is being presented, facing the Good Brothers, for example. But it's exposure, and I'm not getting into how the matches lay out, who wins, who loses, who the champions are from different promos, and now they're carrying it around in a different promotion, so on and so forth. But it's great exposure. And last I checked, at least from the cable system I use at home, there's maybe one channel that can provide New Japan Pro Wrestling. But that's once, maybe twice on weekends. And it's not always up to date. There will be at least almost a week apart at best, a week of delay, I should say. And I try to keep up to find out who's who. And I enjoy it. It's different because of that reason alone, ultimately, because it's so different than what we get, especially from WWE and from AEW. I'm hoping to get back into MLZ. Yes, I'm sorry. Wow, MLW. After the TV deal goes through, and WOW. Well, they're scheduled for the fall on the CW, I believe. And I'll talk about them in a little bit. The point is, there has to be variety. WWE cannot be always the go-to wrestling company, and they can call it whatever they want, but it's still a wrestling company. That's what one of the W stand for, wrestling. So just to finish up on this story, the Good Brothers have not resigned. Hopefully they do, but if they don't, then I'm pretty sure there's still going to be an open door for them to return to Impact and give an opportunity to travel around the world. Not that they can't under whichever deal they have currently before it expires, if it hasn't already. But like I said, they've appeared in different promos while on the contract with Impact Wrestling, and it helps with more exposure for everyone. Everyone wins. Again, there are fans that don't like that idea, don't approve it. Not so much the interaction or interpromotion itself, but just the execution. And I get that. I understand that. Sometimes you pin yourself into a corner, figure out, okay, we're here, we got all these fresh new faces that have not been on our show, and they're going to interact with our talent. How are we going to do that? You can have one or two of the best minds when it comes to booking and laying out a match, and common sense doesn't always prevail. I mean, and it's so difficult to figure out how exactly you want to make the fans happy while still establishing a babyface and a heel, and have enough interest and investment into going into the next show to come back for more, into a pay-per-view that's probably 1 or 2 months away. So it ain't easy. That's all I'm saying. Just like pimping, it is never easy. Io Shirai, again, as of this recording, has not re-signed a new deal with WWE/NXT, as she's about to become a free agent in a few days herself. And she responded on social media with one word: rumors, perhaps indicating that the stories of her not resigning or not wanting to resign a new deal with WWE are just rumors. But then again, hasn't confirmed nor denied that the contract is expiring, has not confirmed nor denied that she is going to sign or not going to sign a new deal. So it's up in the air right now. And I believe I made mention of this on my last episode. Well, it's just a waste of talent. I'm pretty sure I described it differently, but they dropped the ball with Io Shirai. Talking about a women's movement or revolution, or what evolution going on with the women's division right now, which it's in a panic. It's such in a downward spiral, especially the past few weeks, with the firings of a few producers, a few agents, and leaving a few gaps with others to fill in, making them work double, triple time. And it's kind of showing on television. Then don't get me started on this past Friday SmackDown. Good Lord. But Io Shirai, unfortunately, they dropped the ball and could have brought a lot more of an Asian influence. Yes, they got Asuka. Yes, they got Shotzi, even though a lot of people don't see Shotzi as an Asian role model of sorts. What are you guys talking about? Just look at her backstory. If any, the diversity is what I'm talking about here. And there hasn't been too much of it. Any female wrestler that shows up that's not American, well, 2 minutes at best, and that would be for an interview, or hell, even for a match. I can't stress the fact that nothing, when it comes to WWE, is not evenly flowing. It's not. Just thinking about it gives me a headache. Is it easier said than done? Yes, I understand that. Do I work for them? No, and I probably never will, and that's fine. I get that. Anyone that works there that's listening into this, well, thank you, shout out, appreciate that. But they say, oh, but you don't know how it is. You don't work here. You try opening up or running your own multi-million-dollar company. Blah blah. You know what? If I ever do, I won't run it like that. That's for sure. I would allow opinions from other suggestions from other people who have either experience or just never knew what wrestling is or meant, but have a suggestion. I'll hear you out. Different, is it always better? No, but for the sake of being different, go with different. Less is more. And with all this chit chat back and forth, brouhaha of interviews and promos overshadow wrestling. So let's face it, you guys, WWE, you're not going to win an Emmy. Hell, you probably won't even be nominated for one. And they try. Believe me, they try with those autobiographies and TV specials and whatnot for producing and cinematography or whatever crap. They have tried. And they're not going to get it. And for the longest time, the excuse was, oh, pro wrestling is always looked down by other people's noses, and we can't be taken seriously. That's why we got to call ourselves sports entertainment. Like, it's still wrestling. It is still wrestling. Because unless you're closely affiliated, and I don't want to get too far off on this tangent, but unless you're closely affiliated like you're trying to be with ESPN or Entertainment Tonight or Access Hollywood, and you tell them, call us sports entertainment, we're not wrestling, and it comes across like that on the TV screens from people that don't know what the hell they're talking about, it looks and sounds worse. It does. And you know what? I should probably talk about last week's autobiography and, what was it, Rivals on A&E last week. Tonight's Goldberg's debut with that. And just out of curiosity, I'll tune in. But this, not to get too far off of the Io Shirai story, but it just bugs me to the nth degree. They say one thing and it'll last to the end of that day and they go back to another. Remember when Triple H, Stephanie, Shane, and Vince, Mr. McMahon all came out on television. We listened to you. We heard you. We're going to have different matches. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And at the end of the day, they blamed it all on Constable Corbin. And they made it into a storyline, and they just went back to the same nonsense, and it's gotten worse since. And I said it back then. Had they come out as Paul Levesque, as Vince, as the real Vince, the real Stephanie, the real Shane, and explained all that, personally, I know I would have taken it more seriously. But once you heard and see the swag in them, it's like they're in character. They don't care. They don't care. Now, okay, so diversity, having equal amount of screen time for everyone. If you're lucky, you'll see the time of day. And if you're seen wandering around in the backstage area, oh, Aaliyah, you want some TV time? It won't be a match. You just stand in the middle of the ring for 15 minutes before, during, and after commercials, and your opponent will say something complaining on the mic, and like, that's it. But you're getting paid for it. Thanks for coming. Oof, did I go off there or not? Oh, geez. Moving along. Sasha Banks will be making her first public appearance since walking out of WWE about 2 months ago now at the Chicago Comic Entertainment Expo, or for short, C2E2. Next month in August, as a matter of fact. Still unofficially released or terminated by WWE, even though her and Naomi have been removed from the internal roster. Their biopics, or not biopics, but the bio pages on their websites are gone. You know what? I didn't even see if they were in the, what's it called? Well, wrestlers that have been retired, or alumni page. I didn't even check to see if they were there. But life goes on, and I hope that's what Sasha, or if I can sound a little formal here, Mercedes, life should go on, and I hope that's how she's looking at it. And I'm hearing rumors, not from online, but those who are into the sci-fi community, or in the sci-fi community, publicly speaking to them about the rumors that not only of the possibility of Sasha reappearing in the Mandalorian series, or even the Boba Fett series, but their own series. And that's huge, especially for a streaming service like Disney Plus. Sasha's Mercedes is, like 30, 31 years old. The world is her stage, and if she wants to step away from wrestling for a little while and try out acting, and I think she's pretty good at it. I mean, she's pretty good to as far as action and getting in your face and showing that aggression, badass side of her. Let's mix in a little drama. You know, Star Wars, their universe, of course, comes with drama. Why not? In other words, expand on her horizons, to see her skills wind up a little bit, and be very interesting. So I hope she pursues that, takes it seriously enough where, I can always go back to wrestling later on. And we're seeing examples of that. Rock may or may not come back. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, well, maybe before, more than that, of the rumored plans for John Cena at SummerSlam. I'm like, well, here we are, less than 2 weeks, and that's not going to happen. About Cena versus Theory at SummerSlam and cashing in later, no, they went back to Lashley and Theory for the United States Championship. So did something happen? Maybe, maybe not. There haven't been any reports, but then again, those were rumors. And yes, even though I have and do report on rumors, I always stand by the belief that I'll believe it when I see it. But this is what's being said by a number of people. Sometimes those who do report it can be reliable sources. And yeah, they can get it wrong. Hell, if they're not getting it wrong, then they're being lied to. Why? Because plans change, pal. So we don't need to say or point fingers and say, you were wrong. No, that happens. Deals can be changed. something personal comes up, there's a scheduling conflict or whatever it is. These things do happen. Part of life. When it comes to business, it's part of life. So relax. Speaking of making their first public appearance, Big E next weekend will be part of the SummerSlam tryouts. WWE will be holding tryouts on July 27th through the 29th, just before SummerSlam. And one of the evaluators is going to be Big E, making his first appearance since his neck injury. Now, Big E hasn't touched much on a possible return date or if he's going to hang up his boots. But he's not wearing the neck brace anymore, so that's a good sign. But still attending rehab and therapy, physical therapy. I don't believe these tryouts will be televised. Maybe on social media they'll pull up a few clips. But I want to see, I'll be curious to see how not only Big E interact with potential new talent during these tryouts, but to see if he still has that New Day movement, the groove, I guess, you know what I mean? If there's any limitations to his movement from his shoulders to his neck to his head. I'm just that curious because if he can't do that, similar to Austin, who had a neck injury, had surgery, spinal, and all that stuff, and he still ended up doing stone cold stunners where you're landing on your spine, your tailbone. I was like, why? I guess it wasn't on the table to come up with a new move because it was so established, the stunner, that Austin, without winning matches with that, like, oh, you won with a submission. That's a first. You always said you won a submission wrestler. But for how many years have New Day been out there? And Big E was always the one with, well, just gyrating with the ring ropes. How else do you want to say it? And I just hope the injury, when he's completely cleared and maybe able to start taking some bumps in the ring, how limited would his body be? And he's a big guy, physically bigger than Steve Austin. And Austin had to change up his wrestling style a lot, going from a very technical and skilled performer to more of a brawler. And he'll mix in some technical skills here and there post-surgery leading up to WrestleMania 19. But by then, his body was basically saying, like, no, I'm done. You make it to Mania, but that's it. And he hung it up very early. So I'm not wishing the worst for Big E. I would love to see him back in the ring, but at the same time, I don't want to be a selfish individual and say, like, no, you're fine, get back in there. What happens, happens. No, I mean, we're all humans here. I'm pretty sure everyone wants to see Big E not only in good health and get back in the ring to perform at whichever new skill level he's able to. But if he can't go beyond a certain point, then at least I'll understand. Others will be sad and upset about it, again, very understandingly. But there's only so much we can ask from Big E. And I'm pretty sure one thing, if he does get back into the ring and perform at the best he can, one maneuver or one move set he should probably take out of his repertoire is the dive through the ropes. I wouldn't risk that. And hopefully there's no poor schmo there. Oh, Big E, since, for example, hypothetically speaking, oh, Big E, you're about to go out there and have your last match ever. And I know we've asked and told you not to do the diving through the ropes again, but it's your last match, man. Go out there. And if Big E agrees, even though will probably be hesitant about it and something goes wrong, that person who suggested that to Big E, flee the planet. Just don't explain. Just leave. Go. Big E, all he can do is make a comeback and go for as long as he can in the ring on singles matches, tag team matches, whichever. But my point is he has nothing else to prove. He was able to become WWE champion, which I'm sure was in the works much sooner than it happened. But just look at the response he got. He was able to defeat Bobby Lashley, another top guy that basically made him look like a juggernaut. He was unstoppable, like a step or half a step behind Brock Lesnar. But Bobby Lashley was a force to reckon with, and here came Big E. He cashed in last year and WWE champion. Who knew? I'm sure we all hoped that, but it finally happened. And here's to you, Big E. Get well soon. Maybe at the tryouts, he'll make an announcement, or since he'll be in town in Nashville, maybe he'll make a surprise appearance during the actual pay-per-view. Yes, I'm still calling them pay-per-views. Moving on. We're just a couple of weeks away from Ric Flair's last match, and they're calling it a legacy match, they being StarCast and Jim Crockett Promotions. For those who don't know, yes, Jim Crockett Promotions doesn't actually exist anymore, but I think for the sake of nostalgia, and does Vince own the name, the trademark of Jim Crockett? I'm gonna lean towards no, but let's say that Vince does own the Jim Crockett Promotions name and logo and so forth, and to have Ric Flair's last match under that banner, Ric Flair's last match, presented by Jim Crockett Promotions, that those in StarCast, I'm pretty sure would ask permission. Can we use this name just for this one? It's Ric Flair, you know. Flair and McMahon have done great business in the past, and as a favor, I don't see why. But if there's a little fee for it, then sure, why not? Because Lord knows you're not getting enough, income from other places in the billions, but whatever. We still don't know who Ric Flair's opponent is going to be, but it is his last match again. July 31st, coming up in a couple of weeks. And they recently added a Rock and Roll Express and Four Horsemen. They continue with their feud in the new generation. Arn Anderson's going to be on hand. Brian Pillman Jr. is going to be on hand. And they cleared and announced Ricky Morton will be there as well from the Rock and Roll Express. So a lot of nostalgia going in. There's going to be a few of the titles on the line. Impact Championship Wrestling's will be on the line. And there's a full card. I don't have it with me. Why did I do that? But there's a full card available if you head over to StarCast on their social media. The entire rundown of who's going to appear, of who's who, basically. And all eyes on Ric Flair's last match. He's still going strong. The releasing of the pictures and a few short video clips of him working out. He's looking pretty good. And I think what I've seen on his workout routines is more of conditioning to able to go the distance, so to speak, and not so much going for powerlifting and the term escapes my mouth right now. But I think Flair's focusing more on endurance and able to last for as long as maybe 20 minutes to half an hour. I'm sure he will want to maybe try one of those hour marathons, but unless Ricky Steamboat wants to come out of retirement and do him the honors like that. But it'll be a long shot. Don't know who his opponent's going to be as of this recording, and it'll be very interesting. Will it be a new blood? Would it be an old rivalry that wants to get back into the ring as well? Would it Sting, maybe? Who knows? But I'll be tuning in to see how that works out, and hopefully Ric Flair can escape injury-free and live to tell about it. Apparently, talks between the former leader, Amy Dumas, and Women of Wrestling did not work out. Many reported that Dumas had no interest whatsoever in working with Women of Wrestling or WOW or WOW. According to Fightful Select, specifically working with David McLean, the creator and founder of Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, and WOW. Didn't specify as to the reason why specifically now showing no interest to work with David McLean. I don't know the man. I know those who have worked with him. But as far as I can tell, in recent time, there hasn't been anything negative about the man other than he still has a passion for this. They started WOW, I want to say almost a year before the pandemic. And of course, the pandemic hit, they shut down, and now he's coming back to relaunch this. And I believe all the pre-tape first season is in the can, and they're going to be released sometime in August, if I'm not mistaken, September, on the CW. I was puzzled, just like many of you. A couple of guys reached out to me on Instagram, like, why specifically not want to work with McLean? Honestly, I didn't know what to tell them. So I told them it wasn't specified. It wasn't reported. The next option is to reach out to Amy Duma herself, and not that she's not busy with her life, but who knows? That could be just it. Maybe there's a scheduling conflict. And AJ Lee, I believe, was one of those who were trying to work things out with the former leader, but again, this just didn't work out. I believe AJ Lee is going to be not only a behind-the-scenes producer, but I believe she's also going to be an on-air commentator. But it would have been interesting, that's for sure, and would have gave more credibility to women of wrestling had someone of the star attraction of the former leader to appear on their show. If not this season, maybe next season. Who knows if they will go revisit this lake again. But it was clearly disappointing to a lot of people that they still love and want to see Lita do her thing in the ring, but they're just not going to be for WOW. Starting tomorrow night, supposedly, apparently, maybe, even though there was no official comment or official word from WWE. But it appears that the TV PG rating era is over, at least as far as Raw is concerned. They're going to be out here, matter of fact, tomorrow night for Raw in Tampa Bay at Emily Arena. And best I could tell, it's probably a testing phase to see how it's going to fly. But WWE supposedly wants to go back to their TV 14 roots, where the Attitude Era and how the Attitude Era began and continued throughout the late 90s into the early 2000s. Can you imagine? We're going to see or hear more raunchy stuff again. As for why, many can only speculate, but again, there's no official word. So SmackDown is not going to get this treatment, probably because of the different networks. Fox, I don't see Fox ever trying this. Yeah, they've had the UFC programming before, but now they're with ABC slash ESPN slash Disney. Go figure. Like last night, they aired. I believe they were in Long Island, New York, at the what's it called, the UBS or UPL. It's the new arena. I still can't get the initials right, but they were out there, and they aired the UFC Fight Night, and yeah, there was blood splattering, spilling, spraying, whatever, on ABC Sports on ABC. So it's not like violence of a sport is that much of in question or concern. But if you're in a controlled environment like WWE, as far as what you're going to say and what you're going to show, approved by Vince, how much more of that is approved by the network is in the sky right now. But I don't see that flying. A TV 14 rating show pertaining wrestling, mostly talking, is going to fly on Fox. USA can get away with it because, well, yeah, more basic cable, and they've done it before. Hell, they show movies that can be just as, well, for lack of a better term, violent and raunchy. Anything that WWE has shown in the past 20 years or so, whether it's movies or reality shows, quote unquote. So why not try to go back there? As far as why, and if I can speculate a little bit on my take, is it a ploy from Vince? Was it suggested to him by someone else, one of his minions? Is it a desperate move to increase ratings? That's always the go-to answer. But here's the thing. There's a reason why they have as many sponsorships and advertising as they do now, because it's a PG show and it's mostly geared for a younger audience. They do this, and unless there was a pre-meeting where everything was organized ahead of time, like, okay, the sponsors that would agree to this TV 14 will be only on Raw, and the others will just be on SmackDown because we're still PG there. Okay. It's not often, but they did have sponsors of beers before, not many, and restaurants that would serve alcohol, not that they mentioned that during the ads. But I could see how if such agreements and organizing it to that matter, I could see that flying. And I'm still looking at this as a testing phase to see how it would fly. So once you tune into Raw tomorrow night, you look up on usually it's in the top left corner of your screen. And if it says TV 14, I guess buckle in, saddle up, kick back, get your snacks, get your brewskis, get whatever it is you feel refreshed with a cold beverage, and tune in for the next 3 hours. Oh God. Side note, and yeah, I'll definitely report on this alleged TV 14 rating show next time on the Jam Report. I mentioned several times that I do work for Cox Media Group, and we do have, I guess, a good way to explain. We have working relationships with different types of businesses, venues, one of them being Amalie Arena. And they were kind enough to spare a few tickets for Cox Media Group employees. And we had a staff meeting during the week. And at the end, one of the new managers was offering a pair of tickets to anyone that would like to go. Normally, I would go. Now this is my experience. If anyone else had a similar experience or the same mind frame, mindset, I would love to hear from you. Please share down your comments. So as the manager's explaining, I said normally I would go, but not for a televised Raw. At first, he was confused. Like, wait, it's not going to be televised? No, it's going to be televised. But I would go if it's not a televised show, because you're asking me or you're offering me tickets to go to a wrestling show. I'm going for the wrestling. Not that a house show, live show, whatever, can't have interview segments or promos and whatnot, but they don't last as long as you will find on a Raw or a SmackDown show. I mean, we've all done it. We've all timed how much wrestling on a wrestling show was there compared to all the talking throughout the 2-hour show. So that was my take on that. A house show, yeah, definitely. I'll jump on it. I'll find someone to go with, and we're there. Televised like this, and from what we've seen lately, no, I would not go. Even though the tickets were, in this case, were for free, I'm like, no, you have to pay me to go to sit there and just basically count how many brain cells are dying from all the nonsense. I mean, yeah, do I watch it at home to talk about it here? Sure. So I should be brain dead and smacking my forehead into this keyboard right now. But I've been watching since '87. So I just outed myself how long I've been on Earth, not being an alien, but alive long enough to have seen all this and do the compare and contrast from how it was back then to it is now. Everyone does it. A lot of people do that and still ask, why do you watch? Well, whenever it's there, I watch it for the wrestling. And yes, that would have to mean keeping up with the storylines and angles, which they drag out a lot more than they need to. So if I go to Raw tomorrow night, and let's say I don't know, Seth Rollins. He's introduced, and he has a match against AJ Styles. So Seth freaking Rollins is, making his way to the ring. Okay, he's dancing, he's laughing, he's skipping, hopping, whatever he's doing in his wannabe Joker persona. Then at TV, from home, you go to commercial, and he's just standing there. And usually what they do when we're at commercial, they'll have a video playing on their Titantron, if they still call it that. So now from home, we come back from commercial. We don't see Seth in the ring. They go to an interview backstage, or they show another video package of what's coming up, blah, blah, blah. I show a glimpse of Steph, Rollins in the ring. Oh, coming up next. And they go back to commercial. And they would do this up to 2 or 3 different times. And you got Seth standing in the middle of the ring, basically for an entire duration of one match, and anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. And when they include entrances and introductions, maybe 20 minutes altogether. And AJ is yet to still appear to walk down the ramp. So, no thank you. No thank you. On TV, once the show is edited and presented on the network or on the Peacock, it's seamlessly, it flows right through as if we never took. Obviously, then they're not going to air commercials unless you pay for the full premium. But in person, no, that's 10, 15, 20, half an hour of my life and time that I could rather spend doing something else, as little as relaxing or having a late night dinner, take a shower, walk my dog, something. No, no, thank you. And again, if anyone else feels that way, or you want to counter that argument, feel free. You're welcome to comment down there below. And like and subscribe. Thank you. The injury bug is still around this time in AEW, as Tony Khan confirmed that Andrade El Idolo is still injured from about a month back, 3 weeks back, but still going to be very active. I missed a Rampage show this week, but apparently Andrade was ringside. So he just can't perform. He's not cleared to wrestle in the ring, and he's just recovering while still performing his duties, I guess, as a manager at this point. But others that were injured in the past few days, the past couple of weeks, Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks, apparently a scary moment during the Trios Tag Team Championship of a neck injury, but it just turned out to be a stinger, so he'll be fine. And Penelope Ford is out. A lot of people wonder where has she been, and well, she's hurt. Didn't specify, at least from the reports I read, of what the injury is, but Tony Khan confirmed that she is injured and she'll be out for a while. Over in the world of NXT, turns out that Triple H is not running NXT. So about a month ago, he said that I'm back. He appeared at a meeting at the Performance Center with the NXT talent, and stood in front of everybody and says, I'm back. Many speculated that he meant he's back to run NXT. No, he meant that he's back working at the office for WWE over at the old Titan Tower. So Meltzer was the one to report this to clarify everything that was misunderstood. And Triple H is not taking over again, no pun intended, NXT as it used to. It's still run by Vince and his cronies, and what we see is what we get, obviously. So just to clarify, it turns out when he said that he was back, Triple H did not mean he was running NXT again. Instead, he's back in the office, and according to Dave Meltzer, is also involved in the talent recruiting with tryouts. So at least that's a positive. At least Triple H would know what he's looking for any potential future wrestlers or talent that could perform in front of a live audience and show us what they got. And I'm curious to see what from the next class that comes out from the tryouts after SummerSlam weekend. So you'll probably be on the lookout for that on their social media pages from all the trials they had coming up next week. who was handpicked to move on to the Performance Center and then to NXT and then to WWE main roster and beyond. So I'll end on this, since tonight there's going to be a autobiography on Bill Goldberg. And oh, you know what? Before I get into that, I'm talking about biographies and rivals. Honestly, the one last week's biography on The Undertaker and the rival show between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. As far as the schedule goes between biography and virals, tonight is Goldberg autobiography, and then the rival show is Undertaker and Kane tonight. Last week it was the biography on Undertaker and the rivalry between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. Why wasn't it last week a biography of The Undertaker and then the rivalry between Undertaker and Kane? This week you can still have the Goldberg biography, and right after, because I'm pretty sure this, I think they hinted it in one of the trailers, Goldberg ending Bret Hart's career. And even though the rivalry is not based on that, but he can go into a previous rivalry of Bret Hart and how his career from back then led to that unfortunate miscue or mistimed kick or whatever it was to the head of Bret Hart from Goldberg that ended Bret Hart's career eventually. Just a side note, just saying, I mean, if you're in a mix and match, at least make it make sense. I don't know. I can barely speak English now, using the same words twice in a row. But tonight, the Goldberg rivalry, and he was talking to the Michael Kay show recently when asked about the accidental kick that eventually ended Bret Hart's career. And I say eventually because for those who don't remember, after the initial kick, I believe it was in Starrcade, Bret Hart and Goldberg delivered wasn't really a super kick. It was just a side kick up to the head, to the temple of Bret. Whether it was a mistiming on that, and you can review this a million times and draw your own conclusions as to what really happened. Was it intentional? I want to believe no. Was it barbaric and Goldberg being Goldberg back then, where he's just trying to make it look like a shoot as much as possible and pointing out his dominance, his alpha male status, and blah blah blah. You can do that, especially as he put out or mentioned in the Michael Kay show, that it sucks, and I will take it to my grave because I'm sure that he will never forgive me. I said I'm sorry, and it was unintentional. Has Goldberg been a little stiff in the ring? Yes. Has he hurt other guys to a point where they can't continue with careers? No. But I'm sure when he debuted and for the next few months before he's being established as the next guy, a lot of the what they're called now enhanced talent could have gone back to the agents or Bischoff at the time and said, hey, you need to tell this guy to line up a little bit. He cracked a rib, or he dislocated this, or he ate my finger, or whatever it was. It's a physical sport. I'm still calling it a sport. And I'm not defending Goldberg here at all whatsoever. He has said and done things in the past that would make a lot of fans turn his back on him. And he has acknowledged this later on in his life in interviews and Hall of Fame speeches and whatnot. So, okay, at least you're admitting it. You're taking responsibility for it. I don't know how much more of a man can he show himself to be and taking responsibility for some of those comments he's made, some of the actions he's done, to apologize to those he has hurt, literally in the case of Bret Hart. So I'm good. I'm cool with that personally. Do I know the man? No, but I'm just saying as an overseer of a lot of this, and I'm pretty sure there are those who have seen others who have accidentally or intentionally hurt others in the ring and not taking responsibility and not even bother to apologize or offer up to see how you've been later on. From the sidelines, you're like, damn, what an ass. I mean, why? Really? There are a number of examples like that, and I'd rather not get into them right now. But tonight, Goldberg autobiography, then you can check out the rivalry between Kane and Undertaker. But from what I've seen so far between the previous biography and Rivals, really there hasn't been much said that isn't new to a lot of us. Now, if you were there, now maybe not physically, but were around to witness on live pay-per-view at the time or live broadcastings of Raw, Nitro, what have you, and see the chaos unfold on television, chances are you were probably as confused as I was. Because at the time, there wasn't any social media. At the time, there wasn't any websites, not too many, devoted to breaking down the fourth wall and reporting on what may have or what really is going on, why, for one example, the Montreal Screwjob went down the way it did, and how many voices have been heard as far as what their participation was in it. But in short, take example the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart rivalry 1 hour show. With the exception of the last few scenes, I'll say the last 5 to 10 minutes, and I believe this took place during WrestleMania weekend this year. Shawn Michaels meeting with Bret, all smiles, handshaking, hugging, talking to each other for a little bit before they had to excuse themselves to go elsewhere for other, I guess, responsibilities. That was new to me. Where like this is where they are now, and that's amazing. That was so gratifying to see. And yes, we did see this back when Bret Hart returned as the the guest general manager on that January 4th. Was it 2010? And he called out Shawn Michaels, and they had that public one, the public handshake, the public hugging and whatnot. Even though they were kind of in character, but again, what an amazing visual after all that time, 12 years to that point. At least these two were able to bury the hatchet, as Bret Hart put it. We didn't really see, at least not publicly, like, yeah, the Bret Hart's been in and out in WWE since, but never really seen publicly how Bret and Vince buried a hatchet. Might have been hinted at, but we just never seen it. And there's an old saying, seeing is believing. Has Vince, well, rather Bret forgiven Vince for it? More than likely. Do we need to see it? No, probably not. But if the opportunity is there, that, you know what, we can't show this on television, just to ease up the tension from the fans, from the Bret and Shawn fans, especially. Let's show them that. Let's give them that. But the rest of the show, really, there hasn't been, other than saying the same story using different words. Nothing really new was discovered or shared. Maybe Triple H could have used better wording, but I think he was too much into his office mode routine, where like, well, we were doing this. Well, we decided that. Like, who's we? You weren't even in position back then as you are now, other than saying, F him. We'll take it off. We'll do business for him or whatever. Because back then, him and Shawn being in Vince's ear, and yes, Shawn is a completely different person now. But that's just the thing, how they recreate their own history. They'll tweak it, they'll twist it a little bit, but when you don't use the proper wording or explain as it really took place, and for all as I know, Triple H was trying to take partial responsibility for what happened, and he was confronted by the family. If you go back and watch Wrestling with Shadows, and yeah, he was like, he's chewing the gum, looking down, looking up, looking everywhere but at the family, trying to talk over to Animal, who was standing next to Triple H at the time. But yeah, but definitely the biggest BS part of it. And Vince wasn't in any of these shows, by the way. I don't know if he's going to be on tonight for the Goldberg or the Undertaker Kane rivalry. But Bruce Pritchard, someone who I have long stopped listening to because I realized, especially when he went back to WWE, how he is denying, lying, or just not telling the entire story on his podcast. And I don't have to be there. You can spot these people a mile away. You just sense these vibes that there's more to the story than he's giving. And when he does answer a question, he literally answers you, giving you the same answer 3 or 4 times in a row. And I guess he figured out, just like the old 900 numbers, how to take up your time to fill in a 2 or 3 hour show. Only difference is he's not charging you $1.99 a minute or whatever it used to be. But Pritchard on the rivalry show of Sean and Brett said it wasn't up to Brett to how to finish the match, in what way, in what shape, in what capacity, that it wasn't up to him. And that's just a paraphrase. In actuality, and Brett's gone on record more than one occasion on different TV shows that aren't WWE related, and no one has ever come out and opposed or challenged or even counter argued that Brett had creative control in the last 30 days of his contract while in WWE, and those 30 days had the Survivor Series somewhere in the middle. As we heard in the Wrestling with Shadows documentary, Brett wanted a DQ type finish and wanted to drop the belt the next night on Raw and settle into the sunset in his last, almost 2 weeks left on his contract, a week and a half, and apparently show up on WCW the next month, as he did. So, I mean, who am I, right, to say that don't listen to Bruce, because after time he's lying, and when his lips stop moving, he's even lying more. But that's the go-to guy I've noticed that will be put on these WWE programmings whenever Vince is not on, or another agent, or another producer, booker, whatever, that these the statements are chosen carefully. Not only lying, but again, rewriting history. So if you were an old DVD collector like I am and was, especially when these autobiographies started coming out through them, it's there. It's video. It's documented in video. So you're kind of arguing what you previously put out before on a DVD. And yes, this is an A&E produced show, but it's the same story you're talking about. Why change it? Why? And what's their excuse? And what's their answer always going to be? Well, it's entertaining. So it's entertaining to lie to us. Yeah, that's what you're saying. You don't want to look as bad as you already are now in whatever alleged investigation is going on, or something else that hasn't been brought to light yet, and don't want to lose your sponsors or answer to the board of directors and all that nonsense. Okay, that's on you. When it comes to the fans and what are you going to present and give to us, why is history being rewritten or erased in some cases, and just flat out lie? And at this point, I'm just ignoring it. But if anyone above me, as far as podcasting goes, or anyone in WWE goes, I'll tell them straight out, like, well, this is what you're doing. It's not what I'm paying for. But that's neither here or there. They know what they're doing, and it's not like they're denying that they're doing it. But if it's for the sake of entertaining, then no. If I'm being lied to, how am I being entertained? But anywho, wow, I guess I had a lot to lash out today. Then again, I've been so busy going back to my 6-day-a-week schedule, and pretty soon, I'm gonna say in about, well, we're still in July, so October, November. No, you know what? Scratch that. Pretty much when football season starts again, well, I'm more than likely going to go back to a 7-day schedule for a little while, and then that's going to fade out, and then we're back in the holidays, going back to yet another set of 7-day schedules. So I'm just, hey, do I have to do this? No, I want to do this, and something I should have done at least 10 years ago, but it is what it is. Life happened, and I'm just sacrificing sleep here. Maybe not as much as Vince would do. Literally take 2-hour power naps and he's back at it again. But it's not something that someone else is going to do for me. And eventually, when it comes time for me to retire, I want to relax. Still be active to a certain degree, but relax more in between here and there, and not worry about a 6 or 7 day schedule of work. But that'll probably be another story for another day. So if you're going to enjoy, of course, you try that again. If you're going to watch tonight biography on Goldberg, and stay tuned for the Undertaker-Kane rivalry, and you enjoyed it, then let me know. Comment on that. My social media links are in the description. Good Lord. You already subscribed to my channel if you're listening to this. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Hell, let me know what you guys thought of my comments here today. Am I off? Am I wrong? And all points in between, let me know. But keep it light, please. I decided to go a little bit of a PJ route myself, because I really don't need to go the TV. Well, it's not TV, but you know what I mean, like a PG-13 or rated R type of environment, just to get more people to tune in. Like, no, I don't have to. That's only there when it calls for it. But otherwise, it is what it is. But again, thank you for tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video and comment down below. And follow me on social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And it's good old JM saying until next time.
Today, I found the strength to open my eyes, leave it all behind. So open your mind and realize that your beautiful world could take my life.